Yo, it's D.Arthur in the building. I'm talking to you guys today about why your life force energy is more powerful, is more important than fame. Your life force energy is more powerful slash important than being even famous in this reality because if you if you're famous but you consistently relapse, you don't have your life force energy, you might as well not be famous because you might actually feel depressed because you feel like you have all these external things but you're still empty inside. This is the difference. If you hold your life force energy but you don't have as much status or as much fame, you're probably still doing better off. You're probably still doing better off than you really think that you should be, just because you're holding your life force energy. And you're holding your life force energy, and now you just have a lot more confidence. You're a more confident being. And this is pretty much the number one thing that you can really do for yourself. Because if you don't have your life force energy and you're consistent relapsing, you're beating off, anything that starts happening to you, you're going to react probably in a beta way. There's a correlation. If you beat off consistently, you're just gonna act beta. You're gonna care too much. You're gonna let go of your masculine frame. You're gonna cave in. You're never really gonna have the aura, the type of confidence and energy that the top 1%ers naturally have. Then they naturally have this type of aura about themselves, that they're just very confident, they're nonchalant, they're laid back, they hold their masculine frame. They never go away from their values. Their values is probably the most important thing to them. If someone crosses their values, then they have to defend their values. And you're just more likely to defend yourself and your values when you retain. There's a correlation between this. Maybe something as going to a restaurant and you're on retention. You probably have what you're going to eat before you have it planned. And you're just not letting people get away with things, if that makes sense, because you become a lot more passive aggressive when you relapse consistently. You don't want confrontation. You think confrontation is bad, and that's not really the case. That isn't really the case. I mean, obviously there's some things where you might just have to let things go. But if someone is acting maybe in an unfair way, or just actually blatantly just disrespecting you, then you have to check them on it. This is the only way for you to feel good about yourself, and this is the only way for them to feel to get checked, because a lot of people like to cross the lines. Let's say if you work with women and you've relapsed, there's gonna be something where there's gonna be disaster at your job. There's gonna be a disaster. Something's gonna happen at your job where you messed up, and now they think that, and now you can't really defend yourself, and they think that you're just lousy and you're unprofessional, and they think they're probably gonna talk to you in a bad way. They don't think you can hold your own. It's all about holding your own. And if you retain, you can finally hold your own. If you retain, plus you change a little bit of the habits that you tend to do, you can finally kind of hold your own. You can't hold your own if you're consistently relapsing. If you're consistently relapsing, you're definitely not going to hold your own, because if something bad happens to you, you're gonna crumble. You're gonna crumble. You don't have a foundation that you can build on. You're going to crumble very, very, very easily. So, like, the best thing for us to do is to retain and hold our frame. Your seminal fluid, your nut, is more important than being famous in this reality, because you can have all of these external things. You can have the house, you can have the status, you can have the looks, can have the money. You can have all of these things, going for you. But if you can't hold your masculine frame, then they're for nothing. You have to have the complete package, the complete package. And if you keep relapsing consistently, it's very hard for you to have the full package to hold frame, because something is going to happen where they're going to test you, and then you're going to fail the test because you don't have that masculine frame. You haven't kept that masculine frame, and now they're going to test you and you're going to fail. You're going to react way too easily. You're going to react way too easily. Like there was an example of something where some guy was at a pool party, and there was a girl who he was talking to, and then apparently that girl liked him, but then there was some other girls who he started talking to, and then the girl that he was talking to originally poured some sort of drink on his lap. Now he could have done two things. He could have freaked out. He could have freaked out and been like, "What the heck was that about?" Or he could have just maybe played it off cool. Now she did it in some sort of joking manner. So he played it off, and he's like, and then he said this. He said, "Is this what you do to every guy that you like?" And then they hit it off. See, this is the person who is exhibiting a high masculine frame, because people with maybe low self-confidence, they would have been like, what the heck was that about? And then they would have been too overcritical, and they would have failed the test. But he didn't fail the test, he passed the test. And this is just the approach that you really need to come to in any life. Because like, if you're a man, if you truly believe you're like a high valuable male, then you have to have this display of one, non-needingness in any situation, that you can walk away in any time, and three, you're laid back and you're nonchalant. This is kind of how you pretty much have to this is how you kind of have to exhibit yourself. You have to display this out into the world, because if you have the looks but you're always attached, then it's just never going to work. Buddha said attachment is the root of all suffering. If you're attached to a specific outcome, if you're attached to somebody, if you're attached to something, things will just never really work out, because being attached to something leads to suffering. You have to be detached. You have to be a stoic. You have to practice stoicism. You have to be a nonchalant, laid back male. You have to be in your masculine frame. Being stoic is pretty much the art of indifference. Regardless of what happens, you're indifferent. You're displaying aura of indifference. And I mean, being indifferent is a pretty good thing that you can do for yourself. If you're overcritical, you care too much, you're always in your feelings, you're always in some sort of estrogen filled mood, you're never really going to get what you want from yourself, and you're never going to get what you want from other people. So like I said, being on retention is more powerful than being famous, because what's someone who has fame but is a beta simp when it comes to someone testing him? You have to hold that masculine frame, and see more attention helps you hold the masculine frame. Your masculine frame will always be with you when you decide to retain, because you're finally doing things right for yourself. You're finally exhibiting purpose. You're finally exhibiting grit, moxie, persistence, perseverance, a can-do attitude. And this is everyone who comes in contact with you is feeling the masculine energy off of you. There's this thing called the advancing man, and the advancing man is somebody who's always showing other people a way to a more abundant life. And this can be you when you decide to retain, because once you decide to retain, there's going to be just more ideas free flowing through your entire body. Your creative energy is finally at its peak, and your creative energy is through its peak. Like, for an example, Little Uzi Vert, he tweeted a while back saying that being on retention is, he said his thoughts are pure, because he said not ejaculating made his thoughts pure, and he just feels very like good about himself. So I mean, if you really want your life to transcend into the next level, I would highly recommend being on retention and keeping the masculine frame. It's the number one thing that you can do for yourself. Never getting swayed, and holding the frame, and being intentional, and being less passive. Because I mean, passive, if you're too passive, you're going to let people take advantage of you, and you're gonna get walked on. But if you're on retention and you hold frame, regardless of what happening, you're gonna keep that masculine frame, and things are gonna be better for you. People aren't gonna take advantages of you as much. You're finally gonna be 100% happy, because a lot of people like to take advantage of people who people feel as if they're weak, but not you. You're on retention. Being on retention is more powerful than having fame and all of these things, because if you never hold frame, then people can take more advantage of you, and that's not what you want people to be doing. You want everyone to play fair when it comes to you, how they treat you. If that makes sense. If that makes any sense. Like the video, comment, and subscribe below. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.